Japan Station is made possible in part by the incredible support of wonderful people like Gene and Greg. So they just joined the $3 a month plus alpha tier. Thank you so much, Gene and Greg. I was talking to Greg. He says that they've been listening to the show for quite a while now. Thank you so much, guys. I truly, truly appreciate it. If you want to help make it possible for me to keep producing the show, you can join the Patreon over at japankyo.com/Patreon. $1 a month gets you in, and that will get you early access to all the podcast episodes I drop, as well as ad-free versions of all the episodes that I drop here for Japan Station. I also have a Ko-fi, ko-fi.com/Japankyo, in case you want to do a one-time donation. Thank you so much again, Gene and Greg. Thank you to all the wonderful patrons who make it possible for me to produce this show. Links are down below. Let's get to the episode.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Japan Station.
Welcome to Japan Station, a production of Japankyo.com. This is the podcast where we teach you everything you should know about Japan and more. I'm your host.
I'm Ryan.
Yes, I'm your host, Tony, and I'm joined by my co-host, Ryan. We are the two Japanese language linguists that like to talk about interesting things in Japan. So today we're talking about trash. So if you've ever been to Japan or you've ever watched videos about Japan or read articles, there's a pretty good chance that you're at least aware or you've noticed that there are not that many trash cans in public areas in Japan.
It used to be like literally none, but I think it has slowly increased to every once in a while you find one.
Yeah. And we'll get into where you tend to find them more often than not. But this is a popular complaint among especially tourists. Like for us, we've you've lived there for years and years and years now. I go back just about every year or pretty much every year and literally walk across the country and do all this stuff. So like I'm familiar with this thing. Like it's not a novel thing for me. It's just a part of life in Japan. But for tourists, especially when they're going around, walking around, they're like, oh, I just drank this can of coffee or whatever. And like, where do I do with the can? Like, oh no, now I have to carry it around. And unfortunately, we've seen this in the news in more recent years with the increase in tourism in Japan. Some of these tourists do end up, just littering, putting, some of the trash on the side of the, sidewalk or whatever, or sometimes piling it on top of the very few trash cans that are around. So
I'm sure they get blamed for it. Anytime I've actually seen someone do litter, it's always been a Japanese person.
So, and I was going to get to that too. Like, this is not an exclusively foreign thing. And obviously, this is something that is more prone to happen in highly trafficked areas with big, amounts of people. Not surprisingly, Tokyo, Shibuya, Akihabara, these places that tourists love to go to, but also Japanese people love to go to. If you go out to more, residential areas, this isn't really so much of a problem. But Kyoto, you also hear about it happening in the more touristy areas of Kyoto as well. So yes, some of it is foreign tourists. There's a huge upsurge in the past 10 to 15 years, excluding the Corona, like respite. So yeah, this stuff happens when you get any, huge influx of people from another area. These problems are going to increase, but like Ryan said, this isn't an exclusively foreign thing. There are Japanese people that litter and there are Japanese people that dump trash where they're not supposed to. We will be talking about that as well.
And Tony's terrible. He just throws the trash everywhere every time he visits.
I literally go into trash cans, put them in my backpack, and then walk around just throwing it all over the place.
I think he actually saves up trash in Hawaii to bring here.
Yeah, that's why I'm walking across the country. So,
yeah, he's just scattering it all over as he goes.
I'm the, what is that? The Johnny Appleseed of trash in Japan.
Johnny Trash Bag? I don't know.
Oh my God, Johnny Gomibukuro. Yeah. So obviously I do not do that. Yeah, let's get into it. So when a foreigner, whether it's on Japanese TV, whether it's on TikTok, on YouTube Shorts, on videos, whether it's in Japanese or in English, this is all over the place. But either they interview a foreigner and they say, what about trash cans or something? And then the foreigner will go like, well, there's no trash cans. And then they'll explain, oh, that's because in 1995, there was the sarin gas attack. And so all the trash cans were removed. And that's why there's no trash cans in Japan. Like, this is the explanation that is given everywhere in Japanese, in English. If you look this up on ChatGPT, if you look this up on Google, that is what you are going to get. It is such a ridiculously simple answer, and it almost never has any like added context. Like, that's it. That's all you get, and you're supposed to accept it as it is. Well,
Tony did not accept it as it is.
I did not. I most definitely did not. And with just a little bit of a tiny amount of Googling in Japanese, I think it was like the first or second result, I found this amazing article published in 2024 by this guy. He goes by the online name Dragoner, but he's a well-known writer, and his actual name, he's a Japanese guy. He's a writer. He used to write a lot about like military affairs and stuff like that, but now he kind of writes about a bunch of different stuff.
Does he want his real name known, or does he want to be Dragoner?
No, it's well known. It's
okay.
Nothing secret. It is.
It's like he goes by this like pseudonym, but I looked him up and I found his real thing, and we'll dox him now.
Yeah, his address is. He lives in a trash can of all places. No, he's Oscar. No. I believe his name is read Izurugi Tatsuhiro, I believe. Although it's kanji, so there's a slight chance that I may have misread the kanji, but I believe that's how you would read it. Anyway, Dragoner, just look him up. He's got like over 70,000 followers on X, and he seems to be quite well known. Anyway, he did a very thoroughly researched article. I'll include a link in the show notes that is doing exactly what I just did, questioning whether this idea of the 1995 sarin gas attacks is what resulted in very few trash cans across Japan. And
are we going to cover the gas tax at all? Because
yes, I was just about to get into that.
Okay,
yeah,
I was going to say you should say they use trash cans before we go on.
So this is where it starts to get interesting. So he explains that there were multiple gas related attacks in 1995, and these were perpetrated by the terrorist group. Some might describe them as a cult or new religious movement, whatever, called Aum Shinrikyo. Fascinating topic. We're not going to get deep into that history because that could be a whole mini series. But basically, in 1995, in March, there was a sarin gas attack. That's what it's known as. Basically, I think it was like 3 different trains. So these members of this group went on, I think it was 3 different trains. They had plastic bags filled with this I think it's in liquid state, and it evaporates very quickly into a gas. And they had umbrellas that had very sharp, pointy ends, and so they poked holes in the plastic bag. Then the gas got out, and it ended up, causing injury to a lot of people. I forgot how many people died. I think it was something like 12, something like that. But 5,500 people roughly were affected. Some light side effects, more severe, etc. People going to the hospital. It's a huge thing. Very, very much we just went through the 30th anniversary? Yeah, I guess it would be the 30th anniversary, and a lot of coverage on Japanese TV as well. Like this is for obvious reasons, a historical moment in Japan, a serious matter. And like I said, it's often said that the common knowledge is like, oh, because of that, they got rid of the trash cans just as a security measure because this was a terrorist attack. But as this guy Dragoner points out, trash cans weren't used in that attack. Now, there was another attempted attack. Well, I think it was like 3 different attempted attacks that happened all within the span of like 3 days. It happened right around April 30th and in the next few days. And what happened in this next attack, this was a cyanide gas attack. And again, this is Aum Shinrikyo. What they tried to do was set up these 2 bags with 2 chemicals that would mix and then result in hydrogen cyanide gas. And they used the trash cans in public toilets in the subways near right by Shinjuku Station, basically, right? So like smack dab, most important, like a big station in Tokyo, basically. But that failed. like there was I think a janitor or cleaning person that discovered some of these. It seems like it happened over a few different days. There's not that much information in English about this because it was a failed attack, but there's more information in Japanese. So I just looked around. But as Dragoner points out, it seems that they did use the toilet, the bathroom trash cans, at least in one of these occasions in these failed attempts. And so there is a link with the trash can in that situation, but that is a different quote unquote attack from the sarin gas attack. Now, here we get into, so what happened to the trash cans after this? Well, they did remove trash cans following the sarin gas attack. However, not a little time afterwards, they did bring back the trash cans, and they put back the trash cans in various train lines, not just the ones that were attacked, but it seems like beyond these in private railways as well. So I'm not sure exactly when, but the trash cans did come back to the train stations. And then Dragoner points out that there's I think it was a Yomiuri article, if I remember correctly. But anyway, 1997, they brought back the train line that was attacked, or the Tokyo Metro. I think now it's called the Toei Metro, but whatever. They brought back the trash cans in 1997. And this, however, what they started doing was, first, they reduced the number, and second, they started concentrating the trash cans in specific locations. So whereas before they were more spread out, now for security purposes, they were more concentrated, I guess, in more easily visible areas, just so that, train station employees, or I guess even police, would be able to monitor, just, they don't have to like walk around the entire train station looking for like some obscure trash can. Now, before they were removed, apparently there were 492 of these trash cans. And then after they were brought back, there were 220. So there was a reduction of trash cans, but I believe this is specifically in the train lines that were affected. We don't have data, at least he didn't provide data on, like the entire country, for example, or larger Tokyo, because obviously, 220 trash cans for the entire, Tokyo metropolitan areas does seem even small, for that time. But what do we see here? Okay, first of all, we see that, all right, the trash cans did come back. For the most part, they came back, and it seems like it was specifically in the directly affected train lines where there was a reduction. But overall, probably there was a push to concentrate trash cans in specific given areas so that they're not spread out all over the place. Now, here is where things get especially interesting, because then in 2004 and 2005, we got terrorist attacks in Madrid and in London. So this then resulted in heightened security concerns, even in Japan. And at this point in time, then we saw like an extra push to concentrate these trash cans in specific areas. And we saw certain train lines start to use this as an excuse to remove trash cans. Others changed from metal trash cans to transparent trash cans. In 2005, there was this conference in Japan between like the government and train lines where they basically put out guidelines advising about, concentrating trash cans and all this stuff, like security concerns. But these were simple like suggestions. They weren't like mandatory things that everybody had to do. So there's more to say on this topic, but just right here, we can say that, yeah, the sarin gas attack did raise concerns about the possibility of potentially using a trash can for a terrorist attack, but we can't say that sarin gas attack equals all trash cans were gone, and that's why there's no trash cans in Japan. That you can't say that at all. Yeah, it's not a 100% unrelated thing, but there's no direct connection there. And then we have the other area that Dragoner points out, and this is also based on, for example, Yomiuri articles and research that he did in publications. So, for example, in 2003, he came across an article in this publication called Sunday Mainichi. And this publication points out that there was an trash can in front of Ishikawa Station. I'm not sure exactly where which Ishikawa, I don't know. There's a bunch of Ishikawas, right? But anyway, there's this train station called Ishikawa. And this, they were getting complaints of people dumping trash that they shouldn't be dumping. There was also, I think, a taxi driver, I think that was quoted as saying like, oh, these like, employees on their way to work, they would like eat bread and rice balls and then dump the plastic in the trash can. And that made me go like, wait, isn't that what you're supposed to do?
They're using this trash can. How dare they?
Yeah, it's like, but I got a plastic wrapper for my rice ball and I'm eating it on the way to work. Okay, maybe I know in Japan you're not supposed to eat while you walk. Okay, fine. Let's just set that point aside though. But like,
that's not real.
But even if you want to go by that, like, what's the trash can for? Like to throw away, it's just at least, some random tissue and stuff like that you're not going to want to dump on the street, right? Like that's what the trash can is for, right? So anyway, that one was kind of, but the point here is that there were people complaining that, for example, like local restaurants were like dumping their like, I guess, food trash. They called it like namagomi. It's kind of a vague term, but generally it's used to refer to like food, like leftover scrap food, trash, stuff like that. And people dumping their like home trash from there as well. And just stuff that they shouldn't be throwing away there. And then that would result in like crows and birds coming, and it was a nuisance, right? And in case you've never been to Tokyo, especially in the summer, like warm months, there's some like crazy big crows. Like you hear them in the mornings just crowing it up, just they're scary creatures. So this is a concern in many major cities. There's crow nets that people put over like the trash. There's all kinds of different like strategies for dealing with crows, and they're very intelligent. So they find ways to pick at the trash and, get that food. So this was a concern. This resulted in a larger movement to get rid of those trash cans. They ended up getting rid of those. Then in 2010, there's another report of an Osaka city like council meeting where this one guy was explaining that they were getting complaints of basically the same exact things. People dumping trash that they shouldn't be dumping. People, putting like the food stuff, I guess, and just basically
the same restaurant. They took all their stuff to Osaka now.
It's like, oh, okay, Ishikawa, you don't want my trash. Gonna go to Osaka. So yeah, so that was the same thing in Osaka. And then again, based on this Yomiuri article, Dragoner points out how he puts a list, and this list of train stations, not just like parks and municipalities, things like that, but like this list of train lines. And then in 2004, this train line stated the Madrid attacks as the reason why they're going to get rid of trash cans. And there's like 5 or 6 of this in this list. And then later, when you get to like 2022, 2020, whatever, into the 2020s, he points out how like a lot of them are complaining about how, inappropriate trash, like they're throwing away stuff that they shouldn't be throwing away. So basically, to me, it comes down to 3 things. Yes, why are there so few public trash cans in Japan? Yes, there were security concerns that sparked an initiative to look at the trash cans. And then to me, this also became a good opportunity to cut costs, because once you get rid of trash cans, well, there's less people you need to be cleaning stuff. You don't have to be taking out the trash all the time. So that is another factor that I think you can't deny. Like if there's a trash can, if you have to empty 200 trash cans, you need a lot more manpower or people power to maintain that. If you only have 2 in the entire train station, well, you only need really 1 person to handle that. So
we should maybe point out almost all the train lines in Japan are private, so they're primarily interested in saving money.
Exactly. Yes, very good point. And then the last thing is that, yes, there is some degree of taking advantage of these trash cans. Trash regulations in Japan tend to be more strict than a lot of other places. Of course, there's the whole separating trash into cans and bottles, plastic, glass, all that stuff. And then the burnable trash, the non-burnable trash, this can also vary quite a bit from region to region. They have different regulations about how you have to separate things. And then if you have people dumping stuff that they shouldn't be dumping into like the plastic bottle, thing, then that's a whole headache. You need somebody to sort that out. And then if you have somebody dumping trash that they're supposed to pay for, because for some trash, you actually have to pay for it to be thrown away. And then maybe they're dumping it in these public trash cans. Yeah, that's a headache. And I can understand just, all right, fine. If you want to do that, get rid of the trash cans. So
I just got to point out the trash you have to pay for is usually something like large and awkward, like a microwave.
it is.
So I just like the idea of some guy walking to the train station, like carrying a microwave and just like dumping it there and leaving.
Just under his coat. And then
the
with
same
like
restaurant guy.
pots and pans, he's just got it under a trench coat. And then he waits for everybody to get on the train and just opens it up and
And the secret is it was actually Tony.
yeah, Johnny Trash Bag, right? So the point here is that there is no evidence that can prove without a shadow of a doubt that the sarin gas attacks in 1995 caused the trash cans to disappear in Japan, because that is simply not true. They did come back. Now, they probably came back in less numbers overall, because there is one specific instance that he provides specific numbers. It went down by more than half. And so, yeah, that probably did happen. And so then that kind of, I guess you could say, opened the floodgates to start to get rid of, phase out these trash cans. And then in that, how I talked about, Ishikawa Station and all that, in that part of the article, he also points out that there were already efforts to get rid of trash cans going back to the 1990s. So that was nothing new in the 2000s. Like, he even points out how in the early 2000s, apparently it was fairly common to see people digging in trash cans looking for old books and magazines to resell. I guess there was a good resale market at the time. So like, yeah, trash cans were still pretty commonplace even into the 2000s. So yeah, if you ever ask a Japanese person, there's a good chance, they're going to tell you, oh, there's no trash cans because of sarin gas attack. But actually, it's quite a bit more complicated than that. And part of the reasoning is an effort to save money and just, cut costs and all that stuff. That is a very real thing. Now, the fact that Japan can be so clean compared to many other countries, despite the fact that there are so few trash cans, is something that is praiseworthy. And there is
I think it's because there's no trash cans.
Yeah. Well, that very much. So, okay. There's a video that I came across that kind of sparked this. It was a news report, Japanese report, sparked the idea for this episode. And they talked to somebody who was in charge of emptying out the trash cans, and they described him as a volunteer. So we're going back to our cost cutting thing, where apparently the person in charge of emptying out the trash can isn't even being paid. And then in that same Dragoner article,
again, I got to point out they're private train companies. He's volunteering for a for-profit company.
Well, I think that one may have been a street trash.
It's like a park one. Okay.
Yeah, but it didn't seem like he was in a train station. Regardless, somebody had to put that out. I don't know who put that out. The point is that they're not paying this guy, and he's like an older guy. I think he should be paid for taking out the trash. The Dragoner article also points out that in that Ishikawa example, I think it was, he points out volunteers emptying the trash or something like that. So the second instance of a volunteer, apparently, some people are getting paid to empty out these trash cans, but not everybody is getting paid to empty out these trash cans. So obviously there's a reluctance to pay these people. Hey guys, Tony from the future here. And as I was re-listening to this part of the conversation, I think I wasn't being totally fair. The thing is that there are volunteers in Japan that volunteer to pick up trash. And this is something that you see on the Japanese news sometimes. You especially see this in relation to, for example, Halloween. Halloween is a very, very popular thing, especially in the Shibuya area of Tokyo. That's become infamous as the Halloween hotspot in Japan. And so people can get rowdy, they drink a bit too much, they start to litter, and then the next morning, Shibuya has some trash here and there on the street, and sometimes you see news reports of people that volunteer to pick up the trash the next morning. And this is not something exclusive to Shibuya. You see this around Japan from time to time, and I don't think that these are things organized by private Japanese railways or local businesses, most likely. I'm sure there's some exceptions here or there. Maybe some local municipalities like the government office or something like that might organize something like this. But for the most part, I think that these are just private individuals, maybe residents of these areas that decide, we want to clean up our city and we're going to go out and pick up trash. So yes, Japanese train companies, private businesses absolutely want to cut costs. They do not want to have to hire more people to pick up more trash. They want to maybe only pick up the trash once a day if possible, right? Or never, because people don't throw away their trash and that'll save them so much money. But that doesn't mean that they're the ones going to volunteers and saying, hey, pick up the trash. No, they do have their own cleaning staff and they do handle that. Are they doing enough or not? I don't know. It definitely does seem in some situations like they could be doing more, but they're also not the ones organizing volunteers, like in the case of this Japanese news report, to go pick up their trash from their trash cans. Likely the person in the news report that I mentioned was just one of these individuals that I said, somebody that lives in that community and goes around, picks up trash because they want to keep their community clean. And so obviously, since this guy is walking around, does this on a regular basis, he sees how quickly the trash can gets filled up. And so the news report was asking him about that. If this is the case, then he's not in charge of emptying out the trash can, but he might pick up trash that has overflown onto the street from the trash can, because once it's on the street, then that's for him, right? He's volunteering to pick up trash, so he would pick it up. So hopefully that clears things up a little bit. I know I was sounding kind of like I was implying that Japanese train companies are specifically looking for volunteers to handle their trash, and I do not think that is the case. Nothing that I saw in my research or nothing that I've ever heard about leads me to believe that. These are just unrelated volunteers that do this because they want to do it. How widespread that is, I don't know, but in 2 instances, at least, from here, we can say that. And anyway, this volunteer says, there's a culture in Japan to take your trash home. Yes, there is, but
because there's no trash can.
There's also no trash cans, so there's no choice.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Like, I think, like, if you see other countries, oftentimes people will throw something in a trash can, miss slightly, and just kind of like keep walking and not care.
Yeah,
I think that's a big source of like litter in places, and when there's no trash can, that doesn't happen.
Mm-hmm.
Also, like, to throw your trash at a trash can and miss is like normal behavior. But when there is no trash can, if you want to get rid of it, to just sit it down like on the side of a street where there's no other trash around takes much more,
yes,
like, I don't know, mental effort or like mental strength to do.
Mental strength or lack of caring. You can interpret it either way.
It's pretty brazen to just literally, like, you're on a clean street with nothing around. It's like, I'm just going to put my trash here.
Yeah.
So I think that kind of makes people feel more like, oh, I guess I have to carry this till I go home.
Yeah. There is this idea of like the shakai no me in Japan. And I'm not saying that this isn't something that happens outside of Japan, but in Japan, it's being aware of, who's watching you, right? And there's people feel in general, there's exceptions here and there. Like we're talking about Japanese people dumping their nasty trash in these train station things. Like this happens, right? Not everybody in Japan is the perfect cultural, like groupthink angel. But
I have seen many cigarette butts tossed out of windows.
Oh, yeah. Stuff like that happens. But the point here is that there is a general kind of tendency to be a bit more aware of what people think of you and how they judge you in Japan than in many more, I would say, like, American, I do my own thing, don't tread on me kind of, mentality, right? So going back to your point, like in order for somebody to, just dump trash in the sidewalk with like, 50 people watching them, yeah, that's pretty damn brazen.
I think you can kind of see the same behavior in other things. Like, people often mention that people in Japan don't jaywalk, which is nonsense because they jaywalk all the freaking time.
Mm-hmm.
But I will say, if there's ever like a group of people waiting at a light when there's no cars there not crossing, most people will wait with them.
Yeah.
However, sometimes it happens where one person like looks both ways and just goes, and then everyone else follows them.
Yes. That's just like human behavior. Once somebody opens the door, everybody walks through it, right?
But I think it's kind of the same thing with the trash. Like when you don't see any trash cans or litter, people don't want to be the first to do it.
Yeah.
But then if it's there, then people will do it more.
Yeah. For example, in that in that news report that I mentioned, the video that sparked the idea for this episode, they were talking about specifically like Shibuya, I think it was Shibuya and Akihabara, and how there's just more and more trash. And for example, at the very few trash cans that there are, a lot of times you'll see trash piled on top of the trash can because it gets so full so quickly. In a case like that, I think it takes a little bit more courage to be the first to pile up that trash on the trash can. But once you get one or two cans on there, it's like everybody just starts to pile on the trash, and it just becomes so much psychologically easier to do that.
I've definitely seen that.
Yeah. So that is the reality, right? Like, why are there so few trash cans in Japan? The reality is that it's more complicated than the simple answer that you've probably gotten if you've ever looked up this question online.
I wouldn't say more complicated. They're cheap. It's just a different answer, but still a simple answer.
Well, okay, so the answer is kind of like they're cheap, but the
I mean, they're using other things as an excuse, but they're cheap.
But I think my larger point here is the kind of like the historical structure and the excuse, the timeline, and then the excuses, that resulted in where we are today, right? Like there's a lot more things that went into this that resulted into this than simply sarin gas attacks. Like,
how did they get away with this exactly? Because like you said, they came back. We both came here after the 2000s, so it was like after that. But if you were living here, presumably you'd notice the trash cans come back and then leave again. And then people saying like, oh yeah, the sarin tax. And you'd be like, but wait, they were just here last month. What are you talking about?
People like simple stories, especially ones that shut up the person asking the questions. Because if you say, well, actually, so you see, like the sarin gas attacks and then the trash cans came back, and then this, like, what are we, like 20 minutes into this episode, 30 minutes into this episode? Like, yeah.
So like if you lived here and you saw them disappear from your station, and you like ask the station person, and they're like, oh, the sarin attacks. But you'd be like, that was like 2 years ago, and we had them since then. Yeah.
Well, okay. So, in all honesty, I don't know what a train station employee would say to this. I'm just talking about what people say online, and of course that permeates into daily life with just normal people. I wonder what a train station employee who is like 65 that has lived through all of this. I wonder what they would say if I were to ask them.
Some of them like to talk, so they might go into the whole thing.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Some of them, especially if they're like in a, very tiny station, they got nothing to do.
Yeah.
I may do that next time I'm in
like, let me get out my charts and books. I got all this here.
Yeah. So actually there used to be, some of them might even remember, like there used to be a trash can here in this corner, and this corner.
Did you uncover anything for why they've recently been coming back? Is it just the increase in tourism? Because, like I said, there's not a lot, but they definitely is more than like a decade ago.
I can't speak for all the examples. For
especially Kansai area. I feel like Tokyo, I don't see them often, but Kansai, I feel usually they have them inside train station platforms now.
I highly suspect that yes, it is increased tourism. Because Osaka, Kyoto, especially Kyoto, right, is huge with tourists. That's one of the tourist hotspots in the entire country. A lot of the news reports do focus on over tourism in Tokyo, litter, stuff like that. And then Tokyo, but also Kyoto, right? Both of these places. Those are the two that are often highlighted. And then, of course, in 2025, now we have the World Expo going on. So there's an increased kind of push for that foreign tourism, money and all that stuff. So yeah, that is part of it. Like, for example, in that news report that I mentioned a few times now, they were talking about efforts to deal with this problem. And they mentioned a couple different things. One was going on in Saitama, in Kawagoe, a popular tourist destination as well. So here, what they had people doing in like stores, just stores, I guess, like, popular, there's this popular area in the town that people kind of walk through, and there's a lot of little, tourist kind of stores and all that stuff. So people in those stores, the employees would, when they would notice people holding trash, they would go, oh, can I get that for you? Do you want me to throw that away? So they would ask the customers if they, needed to throw away that item, which is great, but it also goes back to the whole like volunteer thing. And then now this is not so much the volunteer thing. This is actually something more of an active, concrete thing that I noticed in this news report. There are new trash cans that are being set up in some locations. It seems like it's still very limited. These trash cans are like smart trash cans, and they have a compressing mechanism. So once it gets to a certain point, the trash just, gets compressed, and this results in it being able to hold 6 times the amount of trash. And according to this report, in the video report that I mentioned on ANN News, this type of trash can was implemented 2 years ago in 2023 in the Dotonbori area of Osaka, which is another very popular tourist area. It's got the big Glico man, neon light thing.
The little river in Osaka.
Yeah,
Krabby
little
Pinchy Man.
polluted river that people like to throw Colonel Sanders into.
They don't do that anymore.
Unfortunately.
Yeah. I wonder
See,
how many of them are under there.
Japanese people do litter. They throw Colonel Sanders to rivers. We've done an episode about that. You can.
That one was an old one. We've been going a while now.
Yeah, no, that was an early one, and then we did an update because they did end up finding the statue. So you can go back and listen to those.
We've been going like,
oh yeah,
7-ish years. How long has it been?
6 or 7, maybe. Yeah, it's been
Wow.
a long time, man. Yeah. I was saying, oh yeah, so in Dotonbori they implemented this and it reduced littering by 90%. Now, how do they measure 90% less littering? I have no idea. This was just like one sentence at the end of the news report. So
there was only one Colonel Sanders in the river after they did it, as opposed to 100.
Yeah, there were 10, and now 9 were in the compressed trash can. So yeah, 90% less Colonel Sanders in the river. So they were, pointing out that these trash cans were, effective in this. And I think so, right? Because it avoids that whole ideally, right? It results in more trash inside the trash can rather than on top of the trash can. And then I looked up this trash can, and apparently, I'm not sure if it was the same exact model, but there was a different news report from like around 4 years ago. And apparently I think the same trash can was developed in the US, and then it was Omotesando in Harajuku in Tokyo had bought a bunch of these, and they had them around. So they might still be in Omotesando, like these compressing smart trash cans. And then they were also saying that the company that was bringing these into Japan was saying that they were also a good way to advertise, right? So you could smack on like advertisements on the side of these trash cans and then use that money to pay for the, emptying of the trash cans and the maintenance of the trash cans. So we're going back to the money thing, right?
Or being private train companies, they'll just take the money and still make volunteers do it.
It could be. But although I think I don't know if these were being used in the train stations.
Yeah, it sounded like a bit more heavy duty than that.
Yeah, I think the train station ones are very much just like little bins with like different holes for the different types of trash. So I think these were more like street trash cans, but I don't know who manages these trash cans. It could be the city, or it could be like the local business where that trash can is by. I have no idea.
I went to Dotonbori not that long ago, but I don't recall seeing one of these. But I wasn't really looking for trash cans.
Okay, well, if you go back, take a look, and if you see any, let us know, and then see how much trash you can dump in.
I'll look for Colonel Sanders's.
Yeah. Oh, 10 do fit.
Wow, you'd never believe how many fit in there.
Yeah. So that is the current situation. They are trying to deal with this because that's a reality, right? Like for a person outside of Japan, it's like, oh, of course there's going to be trash cans, right? And not everybody's going to realize this before they go to Japan, and then they end up with like some piece of trash in their hand that they don't know what to do with because there's very few trash cans. So it's this very tricky thing where in Japan, it's common sense that you take your trash home with you. Even if, like we said, there are exceptions. Some people might litter here and there, but for the most part, people understand that that's just how it's done in Japan. But
that does happen. I want to point out for people who don't know, everyone in Japan also is aware you can throw stuff away at konbini. So just find a konbini.
Yes. So, and I was gonna get to that. So, what do you do then if you are a person in Japan or heading to Japan? You plan to go to Japan, and you like, oh no, what do I do with my trash? Well, first of all, yes, if you're gonna go to a convenience store, buy something in a convenience store, especially if it's a drink or like a quick snack, like a rice ball, just eat it there or drink it there. Or if you have a bottle, right? Like, you drink your bottle, you put that in your bag, and then when you come across a vending machine or another convenience store, there will almost always be a trash can, like right outside or right next to the vending machine. You can put the bottle there.
Often don't sometimes.
There's not all of them. Yes, that is true. Yeah.
The convenience stores, they used to have them outside, like by the entrance. Almost all of them have moved them inside.
I think so.
But yeah, I think they're always there. So I think that's the real reason you don't see people like walking with food. It's not because it's rude or against some social rule. It's because there's no trash can, so they just eat it there and throw it away.
I mean, it's kind of both, right? But that is definitely a factor.
I don't know because I've literally seen like Japanese people reacting to like Americans saying that that's rude. Like, no, it's not. What are you talking about?
it's it's
It
like they.
depends where you go. Like, it's probably rude if you go into like some high class store and
Oh,
you're just like
absolutely, absolutely,
eating
yeah,
a burrito or something.
yeah, and the whole like taking a drink into a store, even in the U.S., is a lot of times not that acceptable. Sometimes they'll ask you not to do that, but in Japan, I think it's even more so.
But
Um,
yeah, just like walking down a sidewalk, I don't think anyone really bats an eye at you.
I've I've done that to be sure, yeah. And another thing that I just to let people know, if you do buy something in a convenience store and you plan to eat it later, let's say a rice ball. I keep saying bowl, a rice ball.
You can buy
Uh,
both. They have both.
they do have rice bowls, yes, yes. But that definitely applies for a bento as well, like the bento boxes, a sandwich or whatever. And I would always do this in Japan. I get a plastic bag. Yeah, plastic bags. I know problematic, but that's the reality of the situation, right? Like if I'm gonna be literally walking across the country and I there's not gonna be trash cans on the side of like some highway, right? So I have to buy my lunch and I pay for the plastic bag because I think it costs like 3 yen or 5 yen or something like that. And then when I'm done eating, I put all the wrappers in the plastic bag. I tie the top, put that in my backpack, and then when I'm back at the hotel, that's when I throw away all my stuff. Like I understand that is how it works in Japan. And so I prepare accordingly. I also never buy canned beverages because once you open it, that's it. You're screwed. So
there's certain living in Japan. There's definitely certain things you don't buy because the package.
yeah,
Cans and glass bottles are annoying as crap to deal with. So I've literally seen things I want, like, oh, I don't want to have to throw it away. I'm not buying it.
yeah. Like if you're gonna take it home with you and like beer, whatever it is, right? Like yeah, no problem there. But if you just want a quick
Even
drink,
that can be annoying, man. My old city, they only took glass once a month.
oh, see, there you go. See, that's the other layer to all of this that, yeah, tourists aren't going to have to deal with. But if you're living there, yeah, like I said, there are certain regions of Japan that are even more strict about, trash collection and all that. So that is something to consider. Absolutely. But yeah, like generally speaking, yeah, if you're taking stuff home with you, yeah, you're not going to be carrying around this empty can, right? But if you're just getting a drink at a convenience store or a vending machine and there's no trash can around, you don't want to be stuck with that can. At least with a plastic bottle, you can seal it up. And even if there's a few drops of whatever it is inside, it's not going to leak into your bag. So I never buy cans when I'm outside walking around.
Yeah, avoid cans if you can.
Mm-hmm.
Cans are not that common. I guess they are in the little small coffee things.
Yeah. The coffee stuff is pretty common. And then the
But I
energy
feel like
drinks as well for the
I feel like
bottles.
Americans' image is like you buying like a Coke, and those are almost never cans. I guess
Yeah.
you see them in irregular sizes sometimes, but usually
Yeah,
it's
like the
bottles.
long ones, right? Like the kind of
Yeah,
tall ones.
yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, they're plastic, as they call them, the PET bottles, usually around 500 milliliters. However, I think some of them have kind of shrunk and prices have gone up. So maybe like 450 or something like that. Yeah, those tend to be the most common beverage size for like convenience stores and vending machines.
In grocery stores, they've been going up. We're like westernizing. I've seen like 700 milliliter bottles of Coke and Fanta,
Oh, wow. Okay. I mean, I see a lot of like the 1 liter.
which I don't like. That's too much.
It is, yeah, yeah, yeah. I see a lot of the 1 liter like tea bottles and the sports drink bottles and water as well. But
Yeah,
that,
water can get huge.
yeah, yeah. No, I normally don't drink Coke and that kind of stuff, so I haven't been paying attention to that. But yeah, that's basically it. So just be aware, just be respectful. Like if you don't be, the best thing to do is just be prepared. Just have an empty plastic bag in your backpack or something. Like have a bag on you, like a backpack or a side bag or whatever, and then you can have a little plastic bag inside just in case you end up eating something and you don't know what to do with it and you don't want it to get the inside of your pocket or whatever dirty. You can dump it in the little plastic bag, and then when you do come across a trash can, whether it's at a convenience store or once you're back at your hotel or wherever you're staying, then you throw it away. But just be aware that this is a thing, and especially in crowded areas, these trash cans are going to get full very quickly because there's just so many people, and then even then you might not even be sure how to throw away something because it doesn't fit in the trash can. So again, just plan ahead. This is something that you do have to think about when you're, walking around, especially in Japan where you do a lot of walking.
Yes,
Yes,
that is
exactly.
my witty comeback.
Exactly. Yeah. So, but at the very least, I mean, really, like, yeah, nice tips at the end, but I wanted to clear up this whole thing about the sarin gas attack, which, is like I
Stop
said,
throwing your microwaves away in the train station trash cans.
yes, you stupid foreigner, stop bringing your microwaves to Japan.
I'm talking to you, Tony, not the audience.
Oh, I'm trying to shift blame here. Leave me alone. That's what I always do. I always bring two microwaves with me right under that, what is it, 25 kilo weight limit, to carry on microwaves.
This is my suitcase. It's not my like actual things.
Yes.
My clothes are inside of it.
Yeah, and all this like fruit peels and vegetable peels inside the microwave. That's also my luggage. Yes. All right. So that is it. Hopefully you guys learned something. And if a Japanese person ever tells you, oh, it's because of the sarin gas attacks, we'll tell them, well, actually,
You get to well actually them.
yeah, you get to well actually and school them on their own history about trash cans. Just
Just
don't be
I'll say after we finish.
all right. All right. Just
I have
yeah.
other
Just
topic ideas.
okay. But yeah, just don't be mean about it. Don't be mean. And again, just don't litter. I know most of you guys are totally fine. If you're listening to this podcast, I have 100% confidence that you don't litter. But just in case there's a random person that may have been considering that, just yeah.
And again, remember konbinis have trash cans, so like
Yes.
instead of thinking there's none, they're like on every block. They're just
Yeah.
inside of a little
Pretty much.
building.
Pretty much. Yeah. Unless it's like a tiny convenience store, maybe I don't know. But
Yeah, if it's one of the ones that's like a little one man and in like a corner of a station, they might not. But
yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
if it's got an actual building, it should be fine.
Pretty much. Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. All right. So if you have any other questions, anything you want us to investigate and debunk, mail@japankyo.com. You can reach out there. And of course, you can support on Patreon because it does cost money to put this out. So any help is always appreciated. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you in the next one.
Bye bye.